he did not also abscond. But it appears from the video recordings that he opened fire with lethal weapons. Perhaps Additional Deputy Commissioner Akhtarul Islam compelled him to open fire with the arms taken from other constables. It also appears that accused constable Sujan and Imaz Hossain Imon opened fire with lethal weapons at the protesters, as stated above. There are evidences that Imaz Hossain fired at the protesters with lethal weapon. We find that Imaz Hossain Imon could not deposit back all the bullets issued in his name. Constable Sujan is seen rejoicing after firing at the protesters. He looked very happy when his bullets hit someone. It is noteworthy here that he was not given any arms and ammunition from the authority, as stated before. He was given only one shield and one lathi, but ADC Shah Muhammad Akhtarul Islam had forcibly handed over to him a China rifle and ammunition, taking the same from the Constable Ajay Ghosh, as stated beforehand. Anyway, in the video, Sujan was seen firing with the said arms and being burst into exultation while his bullet hit some protesters. Had he not been given the arms as aforesaid, he would not be the victim of firing. There may be a misunderstanding that since Sujan was seen rejoicing, enjoying after shooting someone, why he has not been inflicted with the maximum sentence. Opines that authority, the superior boss, Additional Deputy Commissioner Akhtarul Islam, had he not given him the arms, he would not shoot and he would not be the victim and he would not be subjected to any punishment. It appears from the evidences that about 40-50 members of police were deployed at Sankarpur on 5/8/24. Since curfew was in force and the protesters launched a massive program in the name of March to Dhaka, it was the duty of the police and the other law enforcement agencies to be prepared at the key points to maintain law and order. And thus, mere presence of the members of police or other law enforcers there is not at all an offense. It was their duty to be there to maintain law and order for the protection of the life and property of the people. It appears that accused Sujan joined the service just a few months ago. In the circumstances, it was not possible on his part to say no to his boss while he was ordered to shoot. It appears that PW 15 Constable Ajay Ghosh, PW 16 Constable Abdur Rahman and PW 17 Constable Asif Khan were issued arms and ammunition, and they participated in the Sankarpur operation on 5/8/2024. It further appears from the concerned register that Constable Ajay Ghosh returned 18 rounds of bullets out of 40 rounds issued in his name. We find from the supplementary seizure list that SI armed MD Ashraful Islam had actively participated in the Sankarpur operation and he made a statement before the Dhaka Metropolitan Magistrate giving an account of the Sankarpur operation and also implicating himself, though mildly, in the said operation, but he has neither been made an accused nor been made a witness. It may be that it has been done for the purpose of facilitating trial of the instant case as against the others. It further transfers that at least 40 members of police participated in the Sankarpur operation, and amongst them 8 were issued China rifle, 15 were issued shotgun, and 2 were issued SMG. Moreover, they were issued huge number of bullets. The register shows that only 4 or 5 of them returned back the arms and ammunitions issued in their name. But there is no account of the arms and ammunitions of the rest. It has been revealed from the evidences that many of them fired at the protesters. Some of the witnesses also said that firing was so huge that it looked like raining. Notwithstanding such scenario, it is evident that accused Habib Rahman, Sudeep Kumar Chakraborty, Shah Alam MD Akhtar Islam are liable for the murder of the said 6 victim protesters. The remaining accused as well are liable to the extent of their complicity, but they cannot be dubbed or considered as murderer of the victims. Now question arises as to whether the alleged acts constituted crimes against humanity. We have to see whether the said offences of killing and injuring the protesting people are crimes against humanity. The crimes against humanity has been defined in Section 3 of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973. Before proceeding, I have to mention another point in the context of the aforesaid constables who fired at the protesters. It has not been found nor been substantiated anyway by who of the victim protesters, that is deceased protesters, was hit by the bullets of whom, or whose bullets hit who of these 6 of the victims. It has not been substantiated. Now we have to see whether these acts, that is the killing and severely injuring the victims as aforesaid, constitute crimes against humanity. Crime against humanity has been defined in Section 3 of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, which includes murder and other offences. Article 7.2 of the Rome Statute as well has given the similar definition. It has been defined both in the Act of 1973 and in the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, that in order to constitute a crime against humanity, 3 ingredients have to be met. The attack, there must be an attack against civilian population, and the attack must be widespread and systematic. We have to see whether the attack in question has been made against civilian population and whether it was widespread and systematic. In this context, The international, we may refer the decision of the International Criminal Tribunal of Yugoslavia, the then Yugoslavia, in which the concerned tribunal held that in order to be a crime against humanity, the attack must be directed against any civilian population, and it must be widespread or must demonstrate a systematic character. In this context, the testimony of Mr. Asif Mahmoud Sojib Bhuiya, advisor to the interim government of Bangladesh, who deposed as PWO 19, is relevant. In his testimony, he described how the attack on the civilian population, that is the students and common people, did take place from 1 July to 5 August. He described every incident of every day and in every part of Bangladesh. It also transpires from the newspapers, electronic media and social media published that they published news of the day-to-day attacks upon the protesting students and public during the whole period of the movement. It has been elaborately described in the judgment of Chief Prosecutor versus Sheikh Hasina and others. Chief Prosecutor versus Sheikh Hasina and others, bearing ICT BD case number 2 of 24, as to how widespread and systematic the attack was. There has been a threadbare illustration of the nature of the attack therein. The judgment discloses that the various law enforcement agencies like police, ADSAR, BGB, Army, and activists of Awami League and its associated organizations were deployed to eliminate and kill the protesters. Moreover, lethal weapons, helicopters and drones were used for the purpose. Furthermore, internet service was stopped. Dead bodies of the victims were destroyed. Ambulances carrying the dead bodies and the injured persons were impeded. Medical treatment of the victims was interfered. The medical documents of the treatments of the victim protesters were interpolated. The burial and funeral of the dead were hindered, and even the doctors were kept under threat. It has been substantiated in the aforesaid judgment of the ICT BD case number 2/224 that the protesters were attacked in almost all parts of the country in the systematic way. Moreover, the United Nations Human Rights Commission Office held an investigation into the July-August movement 2024 and published a report thereof, stating that there was a widespread and systematic attack upon the protesting students and public, and specifically mentioned therein that about 1,400 protesters were killed and 25,000 were gravely injured by using lethal weapons. In the said report, the occurrence of killing and injuring the protesters with lethal weapons at Chankarpur by police has been specifically mentioned. Human rights organization Odhikar also published a report making the similar statements and giving similar accounts of attack upon the protesting students and common people of all walks. Therefore, the impugned attack upon the protesting students and public and killing of the 6 of them at Sankarpur was a part of the said widespread and systematic attack, and thereupon the offences in question committed by the accused persons are indubiously the crimes against humanity within the ambit of Section 3(2)(a) of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, as well as Article 7(2) of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. In addition to the direct perpetration, the accused DMP Commissioner Habibur Rahman, Joint Commissioner Sudip Kumar Chakraborty, and Additional Deputy Commissioner Shah Alam Muhammad Akhtarul Islam held superior status over the other accused subordinate to them, and as such they had the responsibility to stop the killing and injuring the protesters at some stage of the operation. But they abstained from discharging this superior responsibility as well, whereupon they are also liable under the principle of superior command responsibility. It is noteworthy here that the learned state defense counsels cross-examined all the prosecution witnesses but could not bring out any material departure or substantial discrepancy in their testimony. All the suggestions put by the learned State Defense Counsel have been disavowed by the witnesses and termed as untrue by them. Under all the afore discussed facts and circumstances, we do find and hold beyond reasonable doubt that accused DMP Commissioner Habibur Rahman, Joint Commissioner Sudip Kumar Chakraborty, and Additional Deputy Commissioner Shah Alam Muhammad Akhtarul Islam committed crimes against humanity under Section 3(2)(a), G, H, and 4(1), 4(2), and 4(3) of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, and they are punishable under Section 20 and 20(a) of the Act. Accused as Assistant Commissioner Imrul, Inspector MD I have to add, they are punishable under Section 20 and 20(a) of the Act, and they deserve to be awarded the maximum sentence. Accused A.C. Ibrul, Inspector MD Arshad Hussain, Constable MD Sujan Hussain, Constable Imaz Hussain, Imon, and Constable MD Nasirul Islam committed crimes against humanity under Section 3(2)(a), 3(2)(g), 3(2)(h) of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, and they are punishable under Section 20 and 20(a) of the Act. These accused deserve to have the benefit of the extenuating circumstances as enunciated hereinbefore. Hence ordered that accused DMP Commissioner Habibur Rahman absconding, Joint Commissioner Sudip Kumar Chakraborty absconding, and Additional Deputy Commissioner of Police Shah Alam MD Akhtarul Islam absconding be found guilty for the commission of crimes against humanity under Section 3(2)(a), 3(2)(g), 3(2)(h), 4(1), 4(2), and 4(3) of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, and thereupon each of them is hereby awarded a single sentence of death for all the offences together. Accused Assistant Police Commissioner MD Imrul, absconding, be found guilty under Section 32A, 32G, 32H of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, and thereupon he is hereby awarded a single sentence of imprisonment for 6 years for all the offences together. Accused Inspector MD Arshad Hussain, in custody, be found guilty under Section 32A, 32G, 32H of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, and thereupon he is hereby awarded a single sentence of imprisonment for 4 years for all the offences together. Accused Constable MD Suzan Hussain, in custody, Constable Imaz Hussain Imon, in custody, and Constable MD Nasirul Islam, in custody, be found guilty under Section 32A, 32G, 32H of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, and thereupon each of them is hereby awarded a single sentence of imprisonment for 3 years for all the offences together. The sentence of death shall be carried out in accordance with the provisions laid down in Section 20, Subsection 3 of the International Crimes Tribunals Act 1973, preferably pursuant to the long-standing practice. The period of sentence of imprisonment of the accused in custody shall be computed from the date of their being taken to the custody in connection with this case. The period of sentence of imprisonment of the absconding accused be computed from the date of their surrender or arrest, as the case may be. The properties of the accused sentenced with death be confiscated in favor of the state. The convict accused be at liberty to prefer appeal to the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh against the order of conviction and sentence within 30 days from today, in accordance with the provisions under Section 21 of the Act. Let the accused Inspector MD Arshad Hussain, Constable Suzan Hussain, Constable Imaz Hussain, Imam and Constable MD Nasirul Islam be committed to the prison at once with the custody warrant or with the warrant of commitment. Let conviction warrant be issued towards the concerned jail authority accordingly. Let warrant of arrest be issued against the absconding accused Habib Rahman and others. Let warrant of arrest together with a copy of this judgment be transmitted to the Inspector General of Police, another one to the District Magistrate Dhaka, another copy to the Honorable Minister, another copy to be transmitted to the Secretary, Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, another copy to the Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs. Let a copy of the judgment be supplied to the accused Inspector Arshad Hussain, Constable Suzan Hussain, Constable Imaz Hussain Imon, Constable MD Nasirul Islam, in custody, free of cost. Let a copy of the judgment be supplied to the prosecution free of cost. The registrar of the tribunal shall do the needful in connection with the judgment and order. So, thank you all for being present and listening to the judgment.
Whatever the judgment, always every side is to say much obliged. But my lord, we have different understanding, my lord. So we have to file appeal.
Thank you. Thank you.
My lord, to mention ছিল আর কি ওই ডিভিশনটা আর কি কন্টিনিউশন রাখার জন্য ইন্সপেক্টর আশাদের পক্ষে পুলিশ যে ডিভিশনটা এটা কন্টিনিউশন রাখার জন্য আর কি এটা আমি একটা পিটিশন সাবমিট করেছি যে পুলিশ যে ডিভিশনটা
After passing pronouncement of the judgment, this would become the functions of
পুলিশ ডিভিশনটা মানে ওনাদের যে ডিভিশনে আছে ওইটা যাতে কন্টিনিউ থাকে এটার জন্য
The court is now adjourned for half an hour.
জি
Much obliged, my lord.
মাচ অফ ইউর লর্ডশিপ।
ইদানিং গ্রামে বা শহরে যেখানেই যাচ্ছি একটা কথাই শুনতে পাচ্ছি, এবার ভোট কিভাবে দেব। এবার নাকি একদিনে 2 ভোট, তার মানে ভোট সেন্টার 2 বার যেতে হবে, 2 বার লাইনে দাঁড়াতে হবে। লট অফ কনফিউশন। কিন্তু এই সব কিছু নিয়ে আপনার যাবতীয় দুশ্চিন্তা আজ দূর হয়ে যাবে। চলুন দেখি আগামী 13 জাতীয় সংসদ নির্বাচন এবং গণভোটের দিন আমরা কিভাবে ভোট দেব। ভোটের দিন একদম সকালবেলা আপনার ভোট কেন্দ্রে চলে আসবেন। নারী পুরুষ ঠিক এইভাবে আলাদা আলাদা লাইনে দাঁড়াবেন। লাইনের শুরুতেই আপনার ভোটার ক্রমিক নাম্বার উল্লেখ করে লেখা থাকবে।
দুধার চকলেটে একাকার হয়ে ওঠা প্রাণ লেয়ার সম্পর্কের মিষ্টি ম্যাজিক।